Everyone wants to be stronger, not just physically, but in every part of life. But between confusing workout advice, complicated equipment, and trying to figure out nutrition, where does anyone even start? Well, to get stronger mentally and physically, go to Anytime Fitness. You'll get a personalized training, nutrition, and recovery plan, all customized to your body, your strength level, and your goals. You'll get expert coaching to optimize your results, anytime, anywhere, in the gym and on the Anytime Fitness app. And you'll get anytime access to 5,500 gyms worldwide, all with the right equipment to level up your strength gains and your life. So get started at AnytimeFitness.com. That's AnytimeFitness.com.
I've got 20 minutes till Run Club meets, and it's time for a quick pre-workout snack. Go Squeeze Active Fruit Blend to the rescue. Made with select B vitamins to help release energy, it's an easy, squeezable pouch made to move with me. The taste? So good. And made with real fruit. Even better. Whether I'm hitting the trail or meeting my friends on the court, this is my go-to on-the-go snack. Quick, easy, ready when I am. When it's go time, I go with Go Squeeze Active. Snag yours on your next door run. Search for Go Squeeze on Amazon.
Don't look. Oh, we never do this. We never, ever do this. Sup, nerds? It's basketball. Welcome to Horse Basketball Podcast about everything except for the wins and losses. My name is Mike Schubert, and I'm joined by my trusted co-host, me getting invited to a party on a boat, to me playing basketball on said boat. It's Adam Amawala. Adam, how's it going?
You know what? I love that. I don't know if you know this. One of the single greatest pickup games I ever played was in Thong Sandals on a boat.
Oh.
It was when I was in college. I went on a cruise with some of my college buddies, and I don't know what happened on the high seas, but I'll be honest, I don't think I missed. I was like crossing people over in flip-flops, which as a person getting pretty close to 40 sounds terrifying now. But, you know, when you're 19, you can do whatever you want.
Right. Yeah. That's great. I love that for you. Clearly our abilities just shine on the high seas.
And you were hooping in white pants, I believe, which, you know, I would say you're still in the window of Labor Day, if you go by that.
Oh, gosh.
They say white pants Memorial Day to Labor Day. You were like the day after. So I think you're allowed. Also, you don't have to ascribe to that.
I don't get it. I've never understood that one, especially because it's like, don't wear white after Labor Day. It's like, okay, but then when is before Labor Day? You know, like, when does after Labor Day end and before next Labor Day begin? Because it's like, oh yeah, no. I'm wearing white before Labor Day 2026. So I'm not after Labor Day.
And why are pants singled out? Everyone wears white shirts all year.
I don't know. But I'm glad that I wore a more comfortable pair of pants because I had no idea there would be basketball on this boat, and I was able to hoop.
It reminds me very much of a specific memory that is maybe not a thing for anyone else, but like when I had middle school dances, they would have like the dance in the cafeteria, but then they would leave the gym open also. And so when you're in 6th and 7th grade, like, at least for me, it's not like I was like flirting and talking to girls. I was like, oh, there's also basketball. That's an option. I'll go play that in my dress shirt.
Yo, that's great. Now, they did not do that at ours, which maybe was for the best, but also I was very much into trying to flirt with girls and stuff. I was trying to make moves at the dances, baby. But no, with this, it was just during like the cocktail hour-y portion of it. So it was just like 2 hours of like mingle with people. So I spent 30 minutes hooping, which I feel like is good. You know, if I'm spending a quarter of the time hooping and then the other percentage of the time doing what I'm supposed to do, networking at the podcast event, like, yeah, okay, fine. I think it's fine. And then I was hooping with other people, so it's all, you know, it was all communication.
Final question. Well, I was going to ask, what was your sweatiness level?
Not very. Thankfully,
It's been very mild in New York, so.
Yeah, it was like mid-70s, and I intentionally wore clothes that I wouldn't get sweaty in. Like I wore like a very breathable shirt and lighter pants because I knew that I was going to be walking far from the subway to the boat. Sure. So I didn't want to show up to the boat and then be quite sweaty. And then also I knew that I would be spending a lot of time outside. So it was a very intentional outfit choice. And it just happened to work well for basketball, even down to the shoes. I was wearing Jordan 1 lows just for fashion purposes, but they worked quite well for the little bit of hooping that I was doing. So it worked out.
Love
some good stuff.
Love it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And to live up to the podcast name, I did play a game of horse. So
there you go. Did you win?
I did not. It was weird because the court is very narrow and has like very tall walls. It's very much designed to where like the ball stays in the area.
Yeah.
So like it's not even as wide as a 3-point arc goes. Mm-hmm. So it's not like far past a foul shot. So like all you're really doing is shooting the same like 4 shots over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And the real thing was, if I play like actual horse, I do more like tricky layups and stuff, like through the legs things, behind the back things. If I was doing those, my sweat levels would have been quite bad. Yeah. So I was not busting out that. It got to the guy I was playing against, who was good. It got to HORSE. It was HORS to HORS. So it was like down to the final thing. And then I missed a shot to try and set the tone of it. Then he made one, and then I had one that like rimmed out. So it was like as close as it can be. But it was still fun. It was a good time.
But a fun competitive game. That's great.
Yeah, it was good. It was very good.
How about this? Do you know where there are no limitations as to when you can wear white pants?
Ooh, that's at Memorial Locker Room. We accept all sorts of clothing choices. You can wear white pants. You can wear colored pants. We're not going to police the pants.
No. And people think you can only wear teal in there. Not the case.
No. It's whatever you want to do. But yes, we're going to head to the Dill Memorial Locker Room to talk about basketball. And you know who's wearing all sorts of fun pants?
I would say certainly our patrons, and I'm just getting word that all of our producer level patrons are wearing white pants as they listen to this, which is shocking, but true, allegedly.
They're standing in solidarity with me. So shout out to those producer level patrons: Polly Burridge, Salvatore Testa, Siobhan Ellsbury, Dunko Jason Taco Falls, Bang Bang, Roast Beef Debris, Denver Steam Nuggets, Anna Reed, Steph Curry with the play of the year.
Yes, it is another award that Steph has just been given by the league because apparently, let's see what it says here. What do we have? Yes. Steph Curry wins the 2025 NBA Fan Favorites Award for Best Play of the Year for his behind-the-back fading floater, as voted by you, the fans.
That was a good play. Now, do you think
play.
He puts this trophy aside or on top of the finals MVP?
It's funny. I've always thought about that. It's like, you've been incredibly successful when something that another normal person would display for you just becomes like, I'm going to throw it in like a box somewhere and put it in the attic. Like, if you're Michael Jordan or Steph Curry or something like that, like even winning the All-Star Game MVP, like it's not even in the top 20 of hardware that you have. So I'm if he even received a physical thing, knowing the NBA, it's like, we sent you a digital trophy.
I don't know. They might have sent a physical thing because I don't know when they started doing this, but at least last season they sent out trophies for like whoever had the most whatevers in a season. Like I think Wemby got like a most blocks in the season trophy.
Okay.
And then I think someone got like most rebounds in the season trophy. So like they've started to do that, but maybe for this one, it's just a nice little email.
How about most turnovers?
Ooh. Yeah. It's funny with the less important trophies, to make a baseball reference quite early on. It's like how the Yankees, I don't think they display anywhere how many times they've won the division because it's just to them like, we've won the World Series 27 times.
Right.
Why would we do that? I also don't think they even list the times that they've won the pennant where they make it to the World Series. And that's like, I think very common for teams.
They are a rings-oriented organization.
Yes, indeed. Indeed they are. But continuing on with our producer-level patrons, Chase Underulo, Naked Rachel, Sidney Crosby as a Vampire, Chelsea's Cousin, Ginger Spurs Boy, Balls to the Walls, Mats Furley, and Utah Jash. And you know who else is fine with you wearing white pants?
I would say probably our sponsor, Shaker and Spoon.
Shaker and Spoon, yeah, white pants can feel very celebratory. Does it matter? My white pants had blue stripes in them. Does that change it? But anyway, the white pants can be very celebratory. And if you want to celebrate stuff, you can use Shaker and Spoon. You can go to shakerandspoon.com/horse. You can get $20 off your first box, which is about half off. And then all you got to do is supply a bottle of liquor. And then they give you all of the stuff to make fancy cocktails. They give you the ingredients. They give you the instructions, cool little recipe cards telling you exactly how to make the drinks. And then you can make 4 servings of 3 different drinks that all use the same alcohol, which is pretty cool. It teaches you how to make it. It is definitely more cost effective than going out for cocktails, at least here in New York City. And
well, if I may jump in, I was recently at the U.S. Open, and while I did not partake, let it be known that the infamous Honey Deuce is $23. And they also are going to flip the iPad around and see how much you want to tip. So if you want to make a bunch of cocktails for the price of literally one cocktail, I would say Shaker and Spoon, probably a good option for you.
I've never had one of those at
They're
the US
fine.
Open. They seem perfectly passable.
Yeah,
but
it's a nice, like,
is absurd.
refreshing summer drink, and you get a cool souvenir cup that is not dishwasher safe.
Right, it's a plastic cup, right?
Yeah, it's like a nicer plastic cup, but it's still a plastic cup.
Yeah, people act like they're glass cups or something. Like, no, they're still just plastic cups with the lists of all who's won the tournament.
But you can, if you get some very fancy champagne, you can get a chalice, which I think is also probably plastic with gold.
Right.
Like cheap
legally,
paint.
it has to be plastic. There's
Sure,
no way they
yeah.
would give glass for people to throw around. Yeah.
No.
Wild.
Anyway.
Wild. But yeah, go to shakerandspoon.com/horse and get your stuff so you can be more cost effective than the Honeydeuce. Yeah.
There you go.
Now, unless you're listening on Patreon where you get access to episodes that do not have inserted ads, now's the time for inserted ads. But if you're on Patreon, we're just going to get right on to it.
The world is full of tours. But you don't choose a Toyota truck to follow the beaten path. You choose it to find the places in between. The detours, where each adventure pulls you toward the next. And wrong turns turn out right. So why would you ever take a tour when you could take a detour? Toyota Trucks.
Wherever you go, whatever they get into, from chill time to everyday adventures, protect your dog from parasites with Credelio Quattro. For full safety information, side effects, and warnings, visit CredeliaQuattroLabel.com. Consult your vet or call 1-888-545-5973. Ask your vet for Credelio Quattro and visit QuattroDog.com.
Adam, what do you got going on?
I don't think I have anything new since the last time. So as you're listening to this, I've got a couple things coming up this coming weekend, which is the 12th and 13th. If you're listening to this when it came out, September 12th and 13th, I will be in Wethersfield, Connecticut at, I believe it's called Comedy Craft Brewing. The link is in my website and whatnot. And then the following weekend, I have a show at Steel Stacks, which is a cool venue in Bethlehem, PA. And then kind of working on filling out the rest of the year, but I'll keep it brief for now. What about you?
Yeah, I've got the confirmation of the thing I had alluded to last time. Ooh. So I will be in Manchester in the United Kingdom on September 19th for a show for the Newest Olympian. It is already past half sold out. So if you want to get on it, get on it. But then also I've got a show on September 13th in Providence, Rhode Island, also running low on tickets. And then September 28th in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. The Providence, Rhode Island one is also being live streamed. So if you get the internet, which you do if you're listening to this, you can also get a live stream ticket, which comes with a replay if the day and time isn't ideal for you. So head on over to thenewestolympian.com/live to get those tickets. But yeah,
nice.
I'm glad to have confirmed the Manchester thing.
Hell yeah.
Be excited.
That's great.
Never been there before, so it should be fun.
That's awesome. I've never been to England, but I'm going in January, so looking forward to it.
All right. Nice. Yeah, I'll give you some travel tips, which mostly include eat Indian food and nothing else.
Yeah, I mean, that is the best British food, is food that was, stolen from someone else. Yeah.
All righty. Well, now, do we have an MBQ&A?
We do, yeah. We actually, to be more precise, we have a WNBQ&A, and I'm hoping that you have the answer because I do not.
Okay. On the spot. Here we go.
The question comes from Megan, and the subject is, what's the deal? What's the deal? What's the deal with hardship contracts? Hello, horse boys. My beloved Golden State Valkyries are exceeding all expectations this year, the highest win record of any inaugural team in the WNBA, and they're currently playoff contenders. However, as I write this, the Valks have 5 members of the roster out with injuries, prompting hardship contract to enter the chat. What is a hardship contract? How do they work? Does the NBA have them? How are they different? Where are these players coming from mid-season? Is it from other teams? Were they waived but still available? As in, the players didn't go get other jobs, as seems so frequent for women who can't make playing in the league work. Can you tell me everything, please? Thanks, Megan. And I mean, I feel like I have to read this whole thing at this point. P.S., that actually happened. The Valkyries had a bird watcher night and gave away free plastic purple binoculars, only to unveil at halftime the new mascot, Violet the Raven. And I
didn't know they did a mascot.
It's pretty great. A mascot reveal with binoculars. And Megan goes on to say, and I was really just starting to believe bird watching was that mainstream to get a theme night. There's got to be a 3-on-3 idea in there somewhere. Best mascot unveils theme nights, obscure giveaways. Although an obscene giveaway, kind of fun.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so great idea and a fun little tidbit there. But back to the whole focus of this. What do you know about hardship contracts? I feel like I kind of get how it works, but I'm hoping you maybe have a better understanding than I do.
I do a little bit, but just to make sure I don't mess anything up, there is an article which we can link.
Okay, great.
That was posted in August from womenshealthmag.com that literally is titled, "What exactly is a hardship contract in the WNBA?" Because people started to sign them with the playoffs coming up. So here's what they say. I'll just read from the article. While WNBA teams have to set their rosters by May 15th, the league allows teams to sign people to a hardship contract when they don't have a minimum of 10 players on their roster. Teams can be granted a hardship contract after missing players for more than 3 weeks per the Indy Star. Unfortunately, having a hardship contract does not mean you're a permanent member of the team or even will be with the team for the rest of the season. Some players have been dropped just days after signing a hardship contract, but this type of contract still allows teams to quickly bulk up their roster when needed. So basically, if you have enough injuries that are considered severe enough, and that severe setting is 3 weeks, you can bring someone onto your team until the number is 10 or more of people who are available to play. It very much, to make another baseball reference, feels like the IL in baseball, the injured list, where you can put someone on the injured list for a set amount of time. When they're healthy, then you have to, take someone off of your team either by releasing them or sending them down to the minors. Feels very much like that.
Yeah. Okay. So I think that's and also, does the NBA have that?
I don't think so. It's just the NBA has, I think, larger rosters and more flexibility. The NBA has, I don't think it's a hardship. It's not called hardship contracts, but you can get financial relief if you have a player that is injured for like a very significant amount of time, or I think if you have like many players injured all at the same time, you can apply to the league for, it's called hardship something, but basically like they look at the amount of money that you're spending on people who can't play and have not been able to play for like a really long amount of time. And then you can kind of go above the cap to sign someone with that money. So I think this happened, for example, with the Celtics when Gordon Hayward on the first game of the season snapped his leg and he was making a big contract amount. He's making $20 million or whatever dollars a season. And then I think that they get a smaller percentage of that. I don't know the number. Let's just say 5 million. And then you can sign someone else to kind of make up for, well, we were supposed to have Gordon Hayward, but alas, here's someone else in his stay.
Yeah. I'm wondering, does that only apply if it happens in season? Like, for example, can the Pacers reallocate some of the money that Halliburton is getting to not play next year towards other people in a way that doesn't apply to the salary cap? And I honestly, this is a good question because it's going to lead us into kind of the big story that I assume, going to be talking about during full court press. But yeah.
I don't think it has to be during the season. I think you can get a hardship contract for season-ending stuff, and we could look into that for some of the teams like the Celtics. And I don't know about the Bucks since they waived Dame, but there are multiple teams with out for the season guys already likely. So we could see how that goes down.
Interesting. But great question. Thank you so much.
Yeah, great question. And one that comes up more often in the W because their rosters are smaller.
Right.
And the NBA has larger rosters with things like the 2A contracts where you can have someone that plays for your G League team and your team. Like there's more safety nets around your roster not being fully depleted, where the WNBA does not have that. So you need things that can let you bring people onto the squad.
Exactly.
Cool. Alrighty. Well, now we can get into full court press, get like the news, which will only discuss one topic because
well, actually, I'm going to add a second topic that very much relates to what we were just talking about.
Okay.
Unfortunate news from the WNBA, not necessarily surprising, but it was announced, posted via her social media yesterday as we record this, that Caitlin Clark will not be returning to play this year, which, again, I think is not a huge surprise to anyone who's been following the kind of tumultuous year she's had injury-wise. Obviously, that sucks. She's the WNBA is growing immensely, but like she's still the most popular player in it. So anytime you have someone like that not playing in games, it sucks for the Fever also, because I do think that they could have made a nice run this year, but now without Caitlin Clark and without Sophie Cunningham, like that's just not going to happen. Hopefully this is, very much like one of the other greats, if not goats of the sport, Michael Jordan, who in his, I think it was his second or third year, missed like pretty much the whole season, and then that never happened again for the rest of his career. So hopefully it's something that like she deals with this. Groin injuries are not an easy thing to come back from. There's nothing, it's like breaking a toe. Like there's nothing you can really do other than wait it out and rest. So playing through it is probably not the best idea. I think it's a good call that she's shutting it down, and I'm sure it's a disappointment, especially for people who are like Fever season ticket holders or that sort of thing. But it's a bummer, but I think probably the wise thing to do, especially this early on in her career.
Yeah, I think so. It's sad because they were like in the bottom tier of the playoff hunt and always are a threat to make a splash, but alas,
right,
not looking good if you don't have your best player. So hopefully she gets better. So now we can get into the big juicy story, which is still developing, but is juicy enough for us to discuss for the rest of Full Court Press. There is reporting by Pablo Torre Finds Out, which I have on this podcast, I believe, hyped up as a show that people should be listening to because the investigative journalism they're doing is genuinely compelling.
And boy, did he find some stuff out.
Found out that the Los Angeles Clippers have been paying Kawhi Leonard secret money off to the side for a sham of a brand deal with a sham of a company. And even this morning, it was confirmed that the original dollar amount, which everyone thought was $28 million, which is a lot of money, is actually more because there was an additional side deal of $20 million. So now what we've got, it's a $48 million situation going on. $48 million of extra money from Steve Ballmer / the Clippers to Kawhi Leonard so that he would join the Clippers. And that is a big deal because the NBA has a salary cap, which is something that means you can't pay, you can't pay your team more than a total amount of money. There are maximum salaries, so you can't pay players a certain amount of money. This is in place to try and create a situation in the league where you don't just have situations like this, where if your team is owned by one of the top 10 richest humans on earth, you can just pay people whatever you want and put together super teams just by throwing money around.
Yeah, to be clear, Steve Ballmer, who's the owner of the Clippers and obscenely wealthy, he doesn't care how much he pays people. The reason this is a big deal is that it was done in a secretive and essentially illegal way.
Yes.
To keep the team under the salary cap falsely. And I have a feeling, because I don't think we've heard yet, but I do have a feeling that the league is going to come down pretty hard on the Clippers.
I think so, given the way it's gone and how it's shaked out. Because this is a situation, it's not even just to keep the team under the cap, because I'm pretty sure they gave Kawhi like the max contract. It's just money on top of that. So it's purely just, how do we convince Kawhi to join the Clippers and not return to the Raptors, the team where he just won a championship with? Go to the Lakers, a team that really wanted him.
Who wants Canadian dollars right now anyway? Let's be honest. I mean, but
in 2021, was it better? I have no idea. I'm completely
true.
unsure. I have no idea of the situation at all. But yeah, I think that's the big thing, is that it creates a competitive advantage for certain teams, and the NBA is all about trying to make it as even as they can. And they've had situations where teams have gotten in trouble for doing these things before. The Timberwolves famously got in trouble for going over to give Joe Smith money, and he was eligible for a certain contract at the time. They ended up giving him, some lower deals and gave him money under the table, and they were hit with the removal of 5 draft picks,
which is
I think all first round
of draft picks.
So like,
and all for Joe Smith, which, all due respect, he had a long career, but he does have the name that sounds most like a name that you would make up if you didn't want to reveal your actual name but didn't think hard enough about a fake name.
Exactly. So that happened in the year 2000. Now we're here in 2025. I don't think
so. With inflation, the Clippers are going to have to give up 25 picks.
The thing is, like, there have been smaller little tampering things. Even my beloved New York Knicks got hit with some tampering for bringing in Jalen Brunson, doing some things like hiring his dad and doing all these other things, which, like, yeah, but when you do those, it's slap on the wrist type stuff where we get 1 second-round pick taken away from us. Okay, whatever. You know, things like that have happened. But this is the first big major one since Joe Smith. And I would imagine that the nature of this is going to make the punishment severe. So I would recommend to everyone either watch or listen to that episode of Pablo Torre Finds Out. There's a video version on YouTube. There's audio versions on podcasting apps. But also, if you just go around the NBA subreddit, there's lots of like clips and short things taken if you don't want to invest the full hour and 20, but it's very compelling.
This is a big story. It's a very compelling story, and it's such a big story that loyal horse listener / my mom, Deborah Mamawala, even texted me something from the New York Times to say, like, hey, do you know about this? And I was like, do I ever? And we're going to be talking about it.
Do I
Yeah,
ever?
it's the thing is, I have to assume that this stuff is happening all the time. And I don't want to be cynical about it, but I just know when there's this much money involved, there's always like shady business going on. But it doesn't seem like the Clippers did a particularly good job of masking it.
No. What's fun is the response to this reporting. Let's do that later. Let's get into the reporting. We keep talking about, like, we have to let people know in case they don't know what's going on, what's happening. So the shortest possible version with giving all the context is that the Los Angeles Clippers had a partnership deal with this company called Aspiration. And you may have heard of Aspiration because they were doing, which is completely bullshit, they were doing carbon credits, which are complete bullshit.
Yeah.
It's like these things where you can, pay to like plant trees and stuff, and it's supposed to offset your carbon emissions. Complete nonsense. It's all like the whole carbon credit, your carbon footprint, like that was invented by oil and gas companies to put the onus on the individual so that you feel bad and not about them. Like, no matter what you do in your life.
And every time I see an airline ask me if I would like to offset my own carbon footprint, I'm like, you do it. You are the gazillionaires. Do not pass that along to me.
Every time I walk my compost from the freezer in my apartment to the composting bins in New York and I put it in, I think, I'm glad I'm doing this, but all of the composting I've done in my entire life is probably undone in like 3 seconds of one oil spill.
Yeah.
If that.
But
so
nevertheless, we persist.
Yes. So Aspiration. I'm probably going to drop off the compost today. Aspiration does this like carbon footprint thing, and they were teaming with all of these celebrities to try and be like this high profile thing where they would partner with big organizations to offset the carbon footprint. Right. So the way in which they did this with the Clippers was they were building the Intuit Dome, their new very fancy stadium, and they were going to have this partnership where it's going to be the first carbon neutral stadium. All that means is the Clippers build a stadium, it's bad for the environment to do all of the construction and stuff that they're doing. Then they figure out like how much that would have cost if we were trying to like offset it with planting a bunch of trees. And then Aspiration charges $1 per tree, which is like more than it costs to actually plant a tree. If you're actually planting a tree with like a service directly, it's like 10 cents or 20 cents. So they're doing like a 5 to 10x upgrade. And they are like the broker, where they're the middleman between the people who want to plant the trees and the companies that actually plant the trees. Aspiration is not planting the trees. They're just like working. They're just taking rich people's money and they're going to tree planting businesses. Or so they say they are. We'll get into that. But basically, they were doing this big dollar spend of hundreds of millions of dollars to make the Intuit Dome a carbon neutral stadium. So there was money going from the Clippers to Aspiration to do this. But then there was a flow of money going back to the Clippers, where Aspiration was going to be one of the primary sponsors of the Intuit Dome. Not so primary that it's named the Aspiration Dome, but there was going to be like the jersey patch was going to be Aspiration, and they were having Aspiration like on the seat covers of the lower level seats, like where the celebrities sit.
Yeah. I will say the Aspiration Dome would have been a perfect name for a stadium that houses the Clippers, a team that has always had championship aspirations and has never quite gotten it done.
That's pretty good. So there was money going back and forth between the two. And then Steve Ballmer was an investor in the company. So basically, like, lots of money going back and forth between these two entities. What Publitory Finds Out did with their reporting is, because Aspiration is now filing for bankruptcy, because they are under federal investigation for fraud, they had to file for bankruptcy. When you file for bankruptcy, lots of these documents in regards to it are public. And one of the things that is public is a list of creditors, like people who deserve money from the company. Have you ever been on a list of this? I've actually been on a list of these before.
No. What do you even mean?
So like if a company files for bankruptcy, they email like everyone that they've done business with, and you get to reach out to claim like, oh, hey, they owe me money. And then they like figure out with a settlement, like if you get paid. So I worked with a streaming company to live stream one of my live shows once, and they went out of business. Had they owed me money, I could have said, yo, they owe me money. And then I would have been one of the like official creditors.
Oh, interesting.
So
okay.
This list is public. And when you look at the list, like, you can sort it from most expensive to least expensive. And up towards the top is this LLC called KL2 Aspire LLC, which is an unbelievably uncreative name for your shady business, because Kawhi Leonard's initials are KL, his number is 2, and Aspire is the word for aspiration.
Yeah. Oh my
So
God.
basically, the reporting found out that they set up this LLC with Kawhi and his uncle Dennis, who is like his like agent slash power broker slash behind the scenes guy who negotiates things for Kawhi and is infamous for things he did with the Spurs and the Raptors and now the Clippers. And this company was set up to where basically Kawhi had an endorsement deal, because they had all these celebrities like Robert Downey Jr. and Leonardo DiCaprio doing commercials and stuff for them. Kawhi had one of these deals, but he never did a commercial for them. And they got inside documents from Aspiration, like former employees, that like laid out the terms of what Kawhi had to do to get this $28 million. And it was all like, if he wants to, he can, you know, post about it on social media. If he doesn't want to, he doesn't have to. Like all of these like super duper loose terms where effectively he could be getting paid $28 million to do nothing. And it seems like he did nothing.
Yeah, and the thing about it is, like, kind of like we were talking about in the last episode with, Steph Curry having a deal with Google. Like, probably he won't do anything, and he'll just make a lot of money for them getting to use his name. That's not technically illegal. The issue here is that because it was all orchestrated by Ballmer and by the Clippers, like, that's the problem. Like, theoretically,
correct,
you can get paid way too much money to do almost nothing, and that's really most of what influencer culture is. That's not that surprising of a thing, but the reason that it's a problem is because it was very clearly a workaround to not get over the salary cap.
Right. And what's interesting is that because there is a federal investigation into this, like, more private things will become public. And a thing in the NBA's collective bargaining agreement is that you can have just circumstantial evidence. If you have enough of it that feels legit, a team can get in trouble for it.
Right.
So because there are going to be more like publicly available files about this and like court rulings and all that kind of stuff, there's a stronger case for it, because there's emails internally between the company talking about Steve Ballmer and what he's trying to do and all of the owners and him being together and all this kind of stuff. And then there's all these weird sketchy things. Like, he's such a thorough investor and he's so thoughtful with the companies he invests in. How could he not sniff out that this company was so shady, and they were like actively lying about the money that they had coming in, the money that they had going out? There's someone on the Publitory Finds Out episode who like did a voice modulation, keep me anonymous thing, where they said like 80 to 90% of the money that they said they were getting in was fake. So it's all this thing of like, well, yeah, we can pay for this $300 million sponsorship of the Clippers Intuit Dome because we have over $300 million of money coming in from these sources. But like, those are just like lies. It's and these are all things where Steve Ballmer could look into the accounting before making these big investments. So then it's the eyebrow raise of like, how did he not see it? Did he turn an eye away from it intentionally? Like, it just like reeks of being super duper shady. And it's just interesting because so many people at the time were like, I can't believe Kawhi went to the Clippers. And then there's all these things of like, why was his contract structured this way? What's up with Uncle Dennis? There's all these like weird things of like, the Kawhi thing feels kind of weird, but no one could ever prove anything. And then we kind of just let it go.
Right.
And lo and behold, the Kawhi thing is kind of weird.
Now, has he said anything about it yet?
Kawhi has not. The Clippers have. They have said like the classic, this is completely false. Like, you know, no backroom deals happened. And then they had to release like a further thing that was like Steve Ballmer only worked with Aspiration because he believed in the vision. It had nothing to do with like the ability to go around the cap. So that's all going on. Then the next level thing, alluding to what you had mentioned earlier, what's fun is like the response to the reporting. So this news dropped Wednesday morning. I believe we're recording this on Friday, September 5th. The news drops Wednesday morning. And it takes a long time for big reputable sports news outlets to confirm it, which is not always the case. Even tragically, like when Kobe Bryant died and like TMZ was reporting it, like it didn't even take that long for some of the sports ones to, even with the caveat of saying like TMZ reports this, like these sports journalism places will get on spicy news, but for whatever reason they're not jumping on this one, probably because they don't want to upset the Clippers in case it's not true. So there's like a long pause of the reporting, then eventually they start to report it, but there's other people saying, I don't know, there's like lots of like watering down of it. Now they're, with more and more evidence being released, they're like being more objective. But it's fun because like some of the ripple effect is hearing NBA journalists on podcasts talk about it, and they're saying things like, well, I heard from an anonymous NBA GM, or I heard from an NBA executive who I was texting that wants to remain anonymous, that like teams never do this. This is an absolute rarity. And maybe, but it also feels very much like, don't look, we never do this. We never, ever do this.
What will really be interesting is if eventually we find out who the whistleblower was. Like, obviously credit to Pablo Torre for the investigation, but I would say that a lot of other teams have a lot to gain from exposing this if any of them knew about it, because the Clippers are presumably going to be a competitive team this coming year and in the coming years because of Ballmer's, wallet size essentially. And if they get a big penalty because of this, it's going to potentially like hamstring them for the next however many years. So.
Yeah. I mean, and it could just be because they've been working on the story, they said, for like 6 months. It could just be good investigative journalism by Pablo Torre finds out. And it's great because when's the last time we had proper investigative sports journalism? Like, it's been so overtaken by hot take culture that it's incredibly refreshing for just a deep dive look into corruption. It could just be as simple as when Aspiration went into bankruptcy and stuff, maybe someone was like, hey, weren't they like a major sponsor of the Clippers? And then just like looked into it and then saw KL2. And maybe that's all it took. So yeah, it's very interesting. I find it hard to believe that these sorts of things don't happen with other teams. Again, especially my Knicks. I feel like there's probably some stuff happening where, whether it's through Jalen Brunson's dad being a coach, or like the Roommates podcast, Josh Hart and Jalen Brunson's podcast, which is a bad podcast. Like, it's not good. They do these live shows once a year now in Central Park that have incredibly high production value. And there's all this advertising and all these sponsors. Like, even if there's not direct money in such a shady way like the Clippers, I think there's like extra benefit things happening. Like James Dolan, as the owner of MSG, like they own lots of stuff in terms of New York City venues. MSG, the Beacon Theater, Radio City Music Hall, the Sphere in Vegas. Like, at the very least, he's using his connections to try and help out people on the team. So I think there is probably other stuff that's happening. I just don't think it's like this directly fraudulent. Like, this is just clearly like they set up an LLC just to get paid money for doing nothing via this other company that's just throwing money around.
Yeah, and not that this doesn't happen in professional sports, because it absolutely does, but this was something that was like much more rampant in college athletics before NIL deals came into effect. NIL meaning name and likeness. So like now if you're a college athlete, you can actually make money from having sponsors and that sort of thing. But before that, you were not legally allowed to make any money as a college athlete. And from what I have heard, and this is from someone who did not play college athletics at all, let alone at a high level, they would go to these, you know, if you played football at Alabama or one of these big programs, you would go to some sort of event, and all of these boosters who were like, you know, rich people who went to that school, every person whose hand they shook, they had a, you know, $500 in it. Like this is just kind of something that was accepted in the college sports world of like, yeah, we're figuring out a way to get people here, especially when you're trying to figure out who you can get to commit to your college. Like there was always sorts of like whispers of shadiness happening, or, you know, someone like LeBron in high school, like driving a certain kind of car or accepting gifts from people and, you know, trying to figure out what the legality of all that is. So, you know, the more money that's involved, the more opportunity for shadiness, I would say, but it's going to be very interesting. And I would assume that by 2 weeks from now, whenever we record our next episode, we're going to have a lot more to report about like the fallout of this.
Right. I would imagine our next full court press will just be, hey, here's the update, because Pablo Torre finds out, which has done like some other deep dive investigations into the NFL, for example. They'll do like multiple episodes about a big story. This is going to be, I think, a very much ongoing and developing thing with multiple rounds of updates. So
yeah, I'm thinking the Clippers and perhaps the NBA are not big fans of Pablo Torre right now. Hopefully, hopefully he doesn't look into Boeing, because we all know how that goes.
Oh God. Oh God. Oh my God.
In fact, I've already said too much. Let's move on.
Yeah. So that's at least like most of what's going on right now. But I don't know. It's very interesting. Very, very interesting.
Yeah.
And I would highly recommend everybody watch or listen to that episode, because it's, even if you don't like basketball, like it's just like compelling.
It's true crime, baby.
Right.
You don't have to like
and
basketball.
This is the own, like, to each their own, not going to yuck yums. I do not personally enjoy true crime that is like murder based. I think it can get a little gross with just like how excited people get about people who are dead. But I do love true crime when it's like white collar stuff.
Sure.
There was a Netflix documentary series, I don't know if they're still making it, called Dirty Money. And it was delicious, because every episode was some sort of white collar crime, and then they got caught in the end. And that's every episode.
If I may, so one of my favorite documentaries ever, I believe, is on HBO, aka HBO Max, aka Max, aka HBO Max, aka HBO Go, aka Max.
AKA the home box office. They're going to go back to the full name.
It was called McMillions.
Dude, McMillions is so good. McMillions is so
the very
good.
broad strokes is that, like, if you grew up in the 90s, early 2000s, the McDonald's was notorious for having this Monopoly game where you'd collect pieces. And then if you, like, I don't know, I guess maybe if you got like the big ones.
Boardwalk and Park Place, you would get
you
like
got $1 million. And as it turns out, no one ever legitimately won. The entire thing was orchestrated by like a mafia family, essentially.
In Florida.
It's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really good. And if you listen to the HBO companion podcast that goes along with it, I show up in the Q&A section of one of them, because you could like leave voicemails for questions. And it was fun because all these people would be asking questions about like, how'd you figure it out, or the reporting, the interviews, whatever. And I think I was in maybe at like the 4th episode, because they would like make this podcast in real time as it was releasing. So I called them in the voicemail. I was like, who's doing the sound? The documentary has great sound. The music is good. The Foley is good. What's going on? And the two filmmakers were the guys who did the podcast. And they were like, thank you so much. Like, we put a lot of effort into the sound. Yeah. So leave That's it hilarious. To podcast guy to be like, this thing sounds great.
That's very funny.
But you can hear me. It's fun. Yeah. Every now and then, like once like every 4 months, I'll get an email or something that's like, was that you on the McMillions companion podcast? It's great.
Hilarious.
All right. But now we are here for a 3-on-3 draft.
1, 2, 3. 3, 2, 1. 3 on 3.
Yeah. And this is a very timely draft. Adam, do you want to explain the inspiration behind this, what is going to be a 2-part 3-on-3, then that actually happened over the course of 2 episodes of Horse?
Right. So we have had my friend Joel Walkowski on the podcast several times, and he is the person who not only has organized the infamous Sunday basketball run that Adam Sandler popped in on, which, by the way, was recently featured in the New York Times. So incredibly cool. And I'll share a link to that as well. But every year, and I believe this is the either 10th or 11th year, he has organized this 3-on-3 basketball tournament that takes place in September. It's mostly comedians or like comedy adjacent people. And there's always been a fundraising element of it. The past few years, it has been benefiting Live On NY, which is an organ donation organization, and that is in memory of Kenny DeForest, a very funny comedian and great basketball player who unfortunately passed away a few years ago. His organs ended up saving, I think, 3 or 4 different people's lives. It's pretty incredible stuff. I'm actually, we're recording early today because I'm going to that organization today for a tour.
Cool.
To learn more about it. So I'll share more of that in the next episode. But all to say, tomorrow, so this Saturday, we are doing the 3-on-3 tournament. I am one of the captains, and Shubes for the first time is participating. And I can say this now because no one will hear it until after. We have concocted a plan in which I'm going to draft him in the later rounds because nobody knows who he is and they don't really know what his game is like. And I have a strong feeling we're gonna have to plan this a little bit, but I think I'm going to be able to grab you in the second, maybe even the third round, and hopefully go on a deep run because I have participated in this tournament every single year other than last year, and I've never won, and I very much want to.
It'd be good. It'd be good. Yeah. I'm glad that when I filled out the form, because credit to Joel, he does a very good job of trying to help people put together teams. When you fill out the form, you put how good are you? What's your skill set? All that kind of stuff. I skewed towards being humble because of how I usually act in these sort of situations, but also because I haven't played as much basketball as I have recently. I've been doing more softball and other stuff. So I didn't want to oversell my abilities and then have someone draft me high and then be disappointed. So I just put I'm good at defense. I'll set screens. I'll pass. I'll run hard on transition offense. Basically, I only complimented the things that I was I know I'm still good at because, my shot may come and go, but I'm still very fast and I still am strong. So thankfully that.
And meanwhile, I've been shooting baskets every day for the past week, essentially cramming for a test. I haven't played in months, so I better shoot every day.
That's why I was so delighted that the boat had a court on it. I was I think this is great. Because I got a hoop. My daughter's not old enough to rebound for me yet. Got to get it when I can.
So anyway, all that to say, feel free to explain your kind of idea, because this was your plan for our next couple episodes.
My idea was that we would do a 3-on-3 draft where we'll each pick 3 things, but we'll draft them so you can't double up on a thing. We'll do the best and the worst things you can do as a pickup basketball player. So the cardinal sins to avoid and the things that will put you most in the good graces of people you're playing with. That'll be this episode, and then the next episode we will do a that actually happened, just kind of recapping how the tournament went. So that is what we will be doing here with the 3-on-3 draft. Should we begin with rock, paper, scissors, as we always do?
Of course, as is custom.
Alrighty.
And now it's on shoot and one time. Okay.
Correct. All right. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Double scissors. Alrighty. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Double paper. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. You got me. Scissors to paper. Okay.
All right.
Take the first, and let's start with the good things, because I think it'll be funnier to discuss the bad things.
Sure. Okay. My top pick in the best things to do when you're playing pickup basketball is to know your limitations. Know your limitations and know your role. Because what you see a lot in pickup basketball is hero ball and people thinking that they're Steph Curry when they are not. And I have played with people like this before. It's either people who every time they touch the ball shoot, or think that they should be on the court when they're objectively not one of the better players out there. I have given a lot of thought to this in terms of the coming draft tomorrow, because I think I'm a pretty good player. I don't think I should be the best player on a team. I think a team that's going to win this whole tournament, I'm not good enough to be the best player on that team. So I want to be very strategic about what my skill set is, understanding that, being realistic about it, and saying hey, I used to play more regularly. I don't play that much anymore. I think I can hit some shots. I think I can drive and kick the ball and make some hustle plays, but I should not be the focal point of the offense. And just knowing yourself enough to do that, I think is not something that a lot of pickup players possess. And I mean, I feel like my Instagram algorithm is a lot of videos from pickup games of people just like shooting half court shots for no reason and just playing an incredibly annoying brand of basketball. So maybe not the sexiest pick, but I think a very important one is just like playing within yourself.
Yeah, I think that's very good. My number one pick for a good thing to do is play defense. Try hard on defense, put in the effort. That is something that will always put you in the good graces of people that are on your team. It is something that you can, even if you're not doing a good job, like people can tell when you're trying hard, and it's something that like isn't up to chance. Even if you're a great shooter, you can just have a bad game and go 0 for 10. It'll happen. But just trying on defense, you can't mess it up. It's purely effort based.
Yeah.
And if you have the skill set on top of it to be a good defender, that's great. But at least your teammates can tell when you're trying hard on defense. And on the flip side, it's very obvious to tell when someone is not trying hard on defense. And that sucks, because if someone's not trying hard on defense, it's probably because they want to just try and contribute on offense. And then if you're not contributing on offense, people will think that you're just not a good teammate to have. Like, oh my gosh, this guy's not even playing defense. All he wants to do is shoot. He's not making his shots, or he's turning the ball over, or whatever. You like, it's kind of like the thing that'll come up in sports of like control your destiny, as opposed to hoping other teams lose so that you make the playoffs. With playing defense, you have control of it. Just like put in the effort, give a damn, and it will be respected by your peers.
Love it. All right, now are we doing 3 for each? Is that the idea?
Yes.
Okay. So my second good thing, maybe this should have been number 1, actually, now that I think about it, is just be a good hang.
Yeah, it's good.
Like, be fun to be around. I would rather have somebody who is like positive and having fun and like, of course, playing hard, but enjoying themselves and like seeing it for what it is, than someone who is just a nightmare to be around. And like, there, even in that Sunday game, and Joel will joke about it, like there are people who have a reputation of like, when they're at that game, everyone's like, oh, here we go again. And you do not want to have that reputation. So I think that I'm somebody who I want to believe I strike that balance of like, I'm always going to play hard. I'm always going to do my best. And like, of course I care. And of course I want to win. But we talk about this with softball too. Like somebody who just has like a bad energy, it just makes the whole thing not fun. And at the end of the day, yes, people are competitive, but like, we're here for charity. We're here to have a good time. Like, remember that. You're not on ESPN. Just relax.
Totally. Yeah. My number 2, similar to my number 1, but it kind of encapsulates other things, is just do the hustle plays. That can be setting screens. That can be rebounding. That can be even just boxing out for rebounds, where you're, getting low and making sure that opponents can't get to the ball. These are, again, things that like you can control solely with your effort and will go a long way. And you can't like mess them up. Like even a bad screen at least can still be helpful. And I think that that's the kind of thing where if people are running pickup and they're trying to get 5 people together and they need a 5th, it's like, well, that guy's running around setting screens and stuff. I know for sure if I pick him that he's not going to miss a bunch of shots or turn the ball over or try to play hero ball or whatever. It'll make you a very trustworthy person to have on the team, and it'll make people enjoy playing with you on the court because you're doing the quote unquote dirty work, the stuff that no one wants to do. And then that way, someone who is more of a scoring phenom, they can focus on scoring because you're getting in the muck and doing the stuff that isn't pretty.
I like it. All right, my final pick for the good things to do. Hopefully this doesn't come up tomorrow, but it might. Lose graciously.
Ooh.
This is particularly relevant now. I've been watching a ton of tennis during the U.S. Open, and there was a fairly notable incident where a Latvian tennis player named Jelena Ostapenko lost to American player Taylor Townsend, and rather than be cool about it, like said on the court, like, you have no class, you have no education, just made a stink and really embarrassed herself. And I've seen that before in pickup where like, you beat someone fair and square and they don't even want to shake your hand. It's like, what is wrong with you? Like, be an adult. This is ridiculous. You're acting like a 7-year-old. Don't do that. So if you lose, especially if you lose like legitimately and fair and square, like, yeah, it sucks. Yeah, you're going to be disappointed, but like shake everybody's hand, say good luck in the next round, and like basically don't be a dick.
Yeah, yeah. My final good selection is communicate with your teammates. That can be beforehand, like you're saying, where you kind of let people know where your skill's at. That can be on the court with calling out things on defense of like, hey, this guy's screening you, look on the right, or, I got him, talking for passing around the ball on offense. Just good communication goes such a long way. And I think this especially comes up in softball for us as well. Just keeping in good positive communication with your team is a great way to offset bad vibes things from happening. So this can also include, if someone's missed a couple of shots and they're feeling frustrated, trying to chat them up, be like, hey, get them next time. Or hey, this shot will fall. Good communication can really smooth over a lot of bad vibe situations. So just be talking in a positive way. And it's similar to what you're saying of keeping the vibes good.
All right. We have moved on to the don'ts. These are the things you do not want to do. Number one for me, don't cheat.
Ooh, yeah. Okay.
And cheating can be obvious and cheating can be very subtle. But to me, when I think of cheating in pickup, it's like calling a foul when there wasn't one because you want the ball back, or saying that somebody's foot was on the line when it wasn't, or you're not sure and you're saying, oh, that wasn't a 3, that was a 2. Just anything that goes against the basic decency and etiquette that should be happening when you're playing a sport for fun, don't do that. And I remember it when I was in college. I would play these pickup runs, and there were these guys who basically, if it was game point for them and they had the ball, they would just keep calling a foul every single time until they made a shot.
Right. Because traditionally, if you get fouled, you get the ball back, you restart the play.
Exactly. Yeah. In pickup, you're not shooting free throw line. So if you get fouled, you just get the ball back. And there's nothing more frustrating than that. That's maybe the only time that I will be a bad loser, is when I'm like, you guys just tried to manipulate your way into winning a game because you were getting beat and you had to figure out a different way to do it. So I would say, don't cheat. What's your number one?
My number one is don't be dangerous. There's a difference between playing hard and playing recklessly, especially because a lot of pickup can be on outdoor courts, which can be very brutal and unforgiving. There are poles underneath the basket. There are asphalt surfaces that can make you scrape and bleed. There's so many dangerous things that can happen. We're supposed to be playing for fun. And if you're doing things, whether it's too hard of a foul, doing risky things when someone's in midair, whether that is hitting someone too hard when they've jumped up for a layup, or doing the thing where you stick a foot in someone's landing area where they can roll an ankle, just don't. It's so not worth it. And it's just, I think the rudest thing that you can do is put someone's body on the line. Yeah. Especially as I get older now. And it's just,
as soon as you're in your 30s, the real win is leaving uninjured.
Right. Because it would even suck if I, pulled a muscle just playing. If I got hurt because someone did a dirty play,
right,
I'd be furious for the rest of my life.
Yeah. No, that is a good one. All right. My second pick is, if you're going to talk a little trash, keep it game specific.
That's good.
Because I think when you really run into problems is when people make it about stuff that has nothing to do with the game, or make it personal. I don't necessarily think you need to be trash talking in a charity 3-on-3 tournament anyway, but if you are, let it be fun and let it be about, hitting a jumper in somebody's face versus the fact that their girlfriend just broke up with it. You know what I mean? Don't get personal with people, because there's no reason to do that. And I think that certainly extends to the NBA and WNBA also. It's it's one thing to jeer a player about them having a bad game, but when you take it from stuff that's happening on the court and then extend it to things you've researched about their personal life, just don't do that.
Yeah, I mean, look, with the trash talk, just like you said with the Taylor Townsend situation, it can just also be really bad look stuff when you're saying things, about someone's education and they're a black tennis player.
Yeah, maybe
yeah. So no, I agree. Don't bring anything else into it. All right, my number 2 is don't whine about fouls without calling fouls. This is something that I always find particularly frustrating, but when people will complain against someone like me who plays hard defense, and they'll say things like, oh my gosh, you're fouling me so much, stop, blah, blah, blah. There's literally a way in which the game can prevent this. Call a foul. If you think I'm fouling you, then just call a foul and I will stop doing it. I might even disagree with it, but if you think there's a certain thing I'm doing, especially if it's repeatedly, that you think is a foul, just call it rather than like complain to me about it. It's similar to when people will like go up for a shot and say and one. It's this weird liminal space of, okay, are we actually thinking that this is a foul, or are you just kind of complaining that someone is playing hard, aggressive defense? So
Right.
I think, yes, obviously there's going to be people like you're saying who abuse the foul calling system for a competitive advantage, but I think that's even more acceptable than whining about the fouls without calling the fouls. Like, if you really think that these are fouls, just call the fouls and we'll
Right.
figure it out from there. But to complain as if I'm doing something wrong, but not so wrong that you will call the infraction that is built into the rules that we've established, what are we doing here?
Right.
What is your complaint?
Yeah. Yeah. Either call it or shut up.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. All right. My final pick in terms of things not to do, I guess, is kind of the other side of the coin for my first round, which is if you win, don't be a jerk about that either. Like, you can be excited. You be excited with your teammates. Don't be excited at the other team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I get it if it's been like a chippy game, or if there's that sort of situation where someone keeps like calling ticky-tack fouls or not calling fouls and complaining at you. Like, you're allowed to be pumped up or particularly excited that you beat a certain team that you wanted to beat. But I still think there's a way to like mostly keep that excitement amongst you and your teammates without making the other team feel bad. It's the same thing as like, you'll get a technical in the NBA if you dunk on someone and like scream in their face. But if you dunk on someone and then you like scream towards the crowd or like scream towards your teammates, you're fine. So I think especially in a situation where, to be very clear, no one is dunking on anyone. But you know, if you hit a big shot, or if you win a game that was really tight, you're definitely allowed to be excited, and you should be, but like, keep it classy, basically.
Yeah. I think that's a really good comparison to make, because I think in the NBA, people, at least viewers, want players to be able to taunt and stuff. But
Sure.
I think that's because that is in a situation where like a fight won't actually break out. Like, even when players like want to fight, they don't actually want to fight. Like, the NBA has all of the hold me back situation of it.
Yeah.
But a lot of the advice we're giving here, of especially the things to avoid, is to prevent like arguments and fights from happening. On the one side, you don't want like an actual fight to happen, because that's scary and terrifying. Don't need people getting hurt that way. Ridiculous. But then also, a lot of times, especially if you're playing like at an LA Fitness or something and time is precious, these arguments just like waste time. Like, it just takes up time. So that's even things with like why I said the don't whine about the fouls thing. Like, we're just wasting time here. If it's going to yield an argument, like, what will make everything better, we won't be yelling at each other, and also we'll just be able to play more basketball. Just call a foul. It's quicker than you like explaining to me why I'm being so I think a lot of things that we're giving here are to prevent arguments from happening, because one, you don't want it to get too heated for like an actual physical altercation, and two, like, it's just a waste of time.
Absolutely.
My final thing can also get into this. My number 3 thing to avoid is don't call too specific things, even if they're real infractions in basketball. Like, let's not call defensive 3 in the key. Let's
Sure.
not call 5 seconds back to the basket.
Well,
let's
I think,
not call.
in pickup, it's just accepted that like these are not things that apply. But
Right.
it would be a wild move to be like, no, that's 3 in the key. Up top.
I there are certain rules, and this is kind of hard for someone new to it, but like, there are certain calls that are allowed and there's certain calls that aren't, and it usually comes down to, is something providing a competitive advantage, and do we need to stop it? Like, is defensive 3 in the key really doing a competitive advantage at the pickup basketball level? Not really. Is traveling? Yes, because you're doing an extra step. Is double dribble? Yes. Is 5 seconds back to the basket? No.
Even like calling a carry on someone, unless
Oh my
it's
God.
egregious, like, come on, we're playing pickup.
I think that's the big thing with a lot of the rules. It can be a unless it's egregious sort of thing. Like,
Sure.
I will even let, if it's like not done for a competitive advantage, like a tiny mishap that results in a travel, like if a guy's doing like a pivot foot, if a player's pivoting and they like slightly drag their back foot ever so slightly, it's technically a travel. But if it didn't actually do anything for them, I'm not going to call that. But if someone's playing and they drag their foot significantly enough to try and do a move to get around me, like, then yes, I'll call it. But yeah, like, I'm not going to call something that is just, especially on an outdoor court, like if you try to plant and your feet drags a little bit, like, yeah, there's dust on the court. Like, sure, your shoe slid. I'm not going to call it travel.
And another addendum to this, I would say, is like, keep your calls consistent, which is to say, if you wouldn't call something when it's 0-0, don't call it when it's game point.
And if you would get mad if someone called it against you, don't call it against someone else. Because that's exactly what happens. Like, if I'm in the situation where someone calls one of those ticky-tack foul infractions, whatever, early on, very much I'll just be like, so we're calling this? And then you just like look for it the rest of the game. And it's like, people might get annoyed. It's like, yeah, that's why you don't call that. Because if you're going to start calling a carry on something that is not big, which is like when your hand is like underneath the basketball, which NBA players do all the time. All right, I'm going to look for literally every dribble. Like, once you've opened Pandora's box of this call, because I am a jerk, I will call it every single time. Like, you don't want to do that. You don't want to don't play these games with me, because I'll look for it. I know the rules.
I like it.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Four Sources, hosted by Adam Amawala and Mike Schubert. Our editor is Kensei Sarmaki. The music is by Bettina Kampamanis. The art is by Alison Wakeman. The music is by Bettina Kampamanis. And the website is by Kelly Schubert. And the social media is by both of the Horse Boys.
Thank you to our producer-level patrons, Polly Burge, Salvatore Testa, Siobhan Ellsbury, Don't Go Chasing Taco Falls, Bang, Bang, Roast Beef Debris, Denver Steam Nuggets, Anna Reed, Steph Curry with the play of the year.
Bang times 365 for the whole year, baby. A whole year of bang.
Oh, I like it. That's a lot of bang. Chase Underrulo, Naked Rachel, Sidney Crosby is a Vampire, Chelsea's Cousin, Ginger Spurs Boy, Balls to the Walls, Mats Furli, and Utah Jash. Also, a happy belated birthday to Ginger Spurs Boy. How about that?
Yeah.
Just saw that on the old IG. But you can follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Horse Hoops and on Twitter at Horse_Hoops because
Horse Hoops worked for Aspiration, and they helped ink this shady deal.
Yes, their original handle was at Horsehoops KL2, and it seemed a little shady, so we had to do something about it. You can go to our website, horsehoops.com, for links to the many things we talked about today, including the full Pablo Torre episode that exposes the scandal.
And if you want to support the Horse Boys, you can go to patreon.com/horsehoops, get access to a whole bunch of fun bonus content. You can also go to horsehoops.com/merch and get things like Stuff Nerds, It's Basketball shirts, or digital items like wallpapers and ringtones, and all sorts of fun stuff like that. But we'll conclude this episode by putting our hands in the middle and saying something on the count of three. I feel like something about the big walk, right? Some sort of good vibes for tomorrow's tournament.
Yeah, let's see. Well, let's pay homage to Kenny. I feel like we've probably done that before, but win or lose tomorrow, the event has already been successful because it's already raised a bunch of money, and hopefully will raise a lot more. So the tournament is in honor of Kenny DeForest. The organization is called Live On NY. So how about a Live On Kenny on three?
Alrighty. 1, 2, 3.
Live on Kenny. Great dude, great hooper, very much missed, and we'll be there in spirit tomorrow, I'm sure.